Wally Green is in the studio. Welcome, my brother.
What's going on? What's going on?
Yo, so you normally interview with shades on, right?
Yeah, man.
What happened?
I left my shades at this interview I did 2 days ago. But it's all right, though.
We can be able to get through this?
Yeah, I got the swag hat on, so, you know.
The swag hat is definitely in check.
Yeah,
Check out the video on YouTube if you're not already. Are we going to go to the ping pong club after this? Or
yes, we should.
Do you,
We should, for sure.
do you think I'll get a point on you?
Maybe not.
What do you think the score will be? First match.
I'm gonna say 11-1.
11-1.
Because you got to give 1 point. There's nets, possibly 2, net edge, something like that.
You don't know my skills yet, Wally.
That's fine. That's fine. I beat 90% of people with a cell phone.
You play with a cell phone?
Yeah, I have an old iPhone 6, well, a bunch of old iPhone 6s, and I beat most people with a phone. That's my thing.
Oh, I definitely need the handicap.
Yeah.
We need to put a shattered phone in your hand. You played professional ping pong.
Yeah.
For how many years?
Well, maybe like 16. So I've played pretty much all over the world.
Do you know how many countries you've played in?
Oh my God, man. I played in pretty much every major country in the world.
What?
Yeah, every major country in the world. There was a time where I was traveling at least 15 or more countries a year. Like I was just living on a flight.
Wow.
Yeah. But I would be smart about it though. Like if there was a bunch of pro tours in Asia, I would plan it and then I would go live. I'd pick either China or Japan. I would just live there for a few months and then play the tournaments and then have like one of the Asian countries as a hub and then play all the other countries and then always come back to Japan or to China.
Yes. Do you know who Nick Kyrgios is, the tennis player?
Kyrgios, yeah. That's the guy that, I like this guy a lot. He has the most talent of anybody, but there's something wrong up there that doesn't work, bro. And if he could fix that, he would be the best ever.
But he kind of brings a swagger to tennis that it hasn't seen before, right?
Yes, exactly.
Did you do that to the ping pong world?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I did. The problem is that when I first started playing international competition, I was probably the worst pro in the world. Like I was getting destroyed. Like let me explain to you what the scenario is. You travel from America, you go to places like China. Let's just say Asia, since it's the furthest, right? You travel 16 hours on a flight to go play a tournament that lasts about 3 to 5 days, right? The day you get there, you practice. The next day, you play your first match in qualifications. Only one person advanced. So I wasn't advancing. I was getting destroyed. So that means my tournament ended the next day. It ended. That was finished. That was it. So I traveled all the way from America to China for my tournament to end in 1 day. So it was tough. So I had to figure some things out.
Man, that's really impressive.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
What was your goal like through all of it? Did you have one?
Yeah. So in the beginning, because I played every sport in high school, right? I don't know if you knew, but I grew up with a very narcissistic, abusive stepfather who used to beat my mom up and beat me up. And also he was mentally abusive. So my stepfather would strategically try to break us down. And when I say strategically, normally parents get upset, right? And when parents get upset, they say things that they don't mean. A lot of times he wasn't upset. So it'd be me coming home from school and then he would say, "How was your day in school today?" And I would say, "Oh, it was good." He would say, "It doesn't matter because you're never going to be successful anyway." Yeah. So my stepfather used to tell me I'll be dead, I'll be jail, I'll never be successful. Anything I touch would turn to shit. And we're talking about not as an adult. He's telling me this as a kid. So I've heard these things since I was a kid. And that's how I got into gangs and the violence. But the other side of me was sports. And I excelled at sports because sports was the balance between the violence, right? If I played sports, that kind of took a lot of the edge off of me. And then when I went home, I was kind of numb to what was going on. So I was always good at sports. I was always really good. I was MVP on every team I ever played. Like any team I played, I was always the best because I needed the sports in my life. So when I played ping pong, I thought, naturally I should be the best. And I thought that I would be number one in the world, right? That's what I was thinking at the time. But the reality of it wasn't so. And it wasn't until I had to change my mindset about how I was approaching this because I was approaching it saying that I want to be the best. We're talking about a kid who started at 17 years old, that I want to be the best in the world,
Mhm.
right? It's highly unlikely that's going to happen. There's people who's been playing since 3 years old, 5 years old, etc. So instead of trying to be the best, instead of trying to win matches, I had to do things that actually made sense, right? I had to figure a way, how can I get better um, in this sport and make it make sense? So I would say, okay, you know what? Let me just get 5 points. Like I would go to tournaments and I would lose 11-1. I wouldn't get 5 points in 4 games. So I started to work on the 5 points thing. Let me get 5 points. If I got 5 points, I was the world champion in my mind, right? So everyone in the world knows me in this sport for that because I would lose 4-0, but I got 5 points in one game and I would go, yeah. And people thought I was a lunatic. It was like, this guy just lost 4-0. But they didn't know that, I made these smaller goals that actually made sense. And once I accomplished those goals, I would celebrate, right? When we make smaller goals, the most important thing is to actually celebrate those goals. So it went from 5 to 5 every game to let me just get one game. If I get one game, I'm the champion of the world. And I believe this. I really believe this shit. I'm telling you. If I got one game, you would hear me screaming like this. And yeah, until I started winning a little bit. But it was all just the mindset and just trying to figure out, what could I do differently? How could I change what was happening to me? Because I was getting destroyed, man.
Mhm.
People would tell me sometimes, "Oh, why are you playing this? You should be rapping or you should be playing basketball, right?" But in the same token, as you mentioned before, I brought something different to the sport, right? I brought fashion to the sport. I brought this ghetto hood mentality, just craziness. Like, I would play someone and I'd be like, yeah, that's it, baby. Come on. I'd be talking all the trash on the table. And people had never seen that. People were like, this guy's crazy. Right. So everyone started to know who I was. And then what happened is I started noticing that every time I travel, I would just lose, but the media would come interview me. So I would lose, I would get destroyed, but I would get the interview. And it was just weird. And everybody was tight. It was like, why this guy keeps getting the interview? Right. And the thing was, I realized that I had something very different that no other player had. Right. The swag that I had didn't exist in this sport. I'll tell you a funny story. One time I was in China, and normally when you play qualifications, usually 3 or 4 people are in your group. And I noticed that they put my qualification matches on the TV table. So usually it's 1 or 2 TV tables. And it's almost impossible to get on a TV table in qualifications. You gotta remember, it's 300, 200 people playing. It's highly unlikely you're gonna get it. And I noticed that like they kept giving me TV table, right? And so I was getting upset about it. Like most players want to be on the TV.
Yeah.
I don't want to be on TV.
You didn't want it because it added too much pressure?
No, I suck. I mean, that was the bottom
You're
line.
getting your ass beat
I'm
on
getting
TV?
my ass beat on TV.
Hey, but you're there. You're the man in the arena, and that's what counts.
That does count. But when you get your ass beat, you still got to walk through everybody. And so I went to the organizer and says, "Hey, can you guys please take me off the TV?" I said, "I just played on the TV table." I said, "Normally no one gets TV. Can you take me off TV?" And they said, "Why?" I said, "Because I don't want to play on the TV. Can you just change my table to another table?" And they said, "No, Wally, you are good for TV." So when they said that, I was like, all right. I started thinking, oh, all right, maybe I have something that everyone doesn't have. And so I just started focusing on the showmanship. And then when I started focusing on showmanship, I felt more free to just play. So I got better because I stopped focusing on trying to beat everybody. I stopped focusing on trying just to win. And now I was having fun.
And it's like you weren't trying to fit this mold that had already been there. You were your own self.
No, there was no way I could do it. I could not. People were like, "Oh, you got to be quiet." No, why? I got to be quiet. That's not my character. No, I'm going to be loud. I'm going to be in your face.
Did that help you play better?
Yeah, because I think a lot of times, which I see, people do try to fit this mold, right?
In everything in life, man.
It's like you see it in tennis too, right? You see it in tennis too, right? They want you to be quiet. They don't want you to argue. They don't, and then people who are normally have that character, they try to tone it down, right? But when you're not being yourself and you're trying to tone things down, then you can't play to the best. The only way you can play to the highest to the highest level, right, that you're capable of is by truly 100% being yourself. If there's anything that you're holding down, whether it's, let's say, every morning I wake up and I put a splash of paint on my face. If I did this every day for 365 days a year for 20 years, if I didn't do it that one day and have to play the finals of a match, most likely you're probably not going to win that match because it's something so small, but it's something so big, right? Because that's a part of you. So I just started being me. And when I started being me and just being like this hip hop, kid that grew up in the projects and people respected it. Like the top players, okay, the medium and lower players, they didn't respect it. But the top guys
They
did.
wrote you off.
The medium lower players used to like just talk trash, but they didn't matter because the top guys, the guys at the top, like all the top guys were my friends.
Is China considered the best team for ping pong?
By far. There's no sport in the world that's dominated as hard and more than China with table tennis by one country. Doesn't exist. China dominates the sport so much that they try to find things to kind of like derail them without, making it, forward so everyone knows, right? Because you can't say, oh, because you're so good, we're going to punish you. But there are things that you can do that affect everyone, but in reality, it affects you. So, for example, they made the rule some years ago to change the amount of people that could enter into the men's singles in the Olympics. Very smart rule. And you would say, okay, what does that do? Well, it does a lot. When you say only two people can enter into men's and women's singles, what does that mean? China can't get the bronze because China kept winning gold, silver, bronze, gold, silver, bronze, gold, silver, bronze, gold, silver. And you can't punish a country for being good. So what you do is you just make a rule that affects everyone, but in reality, it only affects them. So that's what happens. So they made this rule, and now China gets the gold and silver, and another country will get the bronze.
Who usually gets the bronze?
It depends. Germany has done it before. I don't know if Korea's ever done it, but other countries other than China.
Okay.
So
for the average person who's trying to get better at ping pong, what are like the 3 things that they could focus on to get better?
One, keeping the ball on the table. That's the biggest problem for everyone. Everyone tries to rip the ball 500 miles an hour. Everyone tries to just kill it. Just keeping the ball on the table is the first number one thing, right? That's the number one. Number 2 is watching your opponent. That's something that people don't teach you if you're just playing, right? Most people just only look at the ball, right? But if I'm watching you, I can see when the ball is getting to you. I can see when the ball is coming to me. So I'm always on time. So you have to watch your opponent.
And so you're bouncing between watching the ball and the opponent?
Yeah. I'm always watching the opponent. I watch the opponent first and then the ball, right? Because if I watch you hit a ball, there's no way I can be late. But if I don't watch you hit a ball, a lot of times people don't see the ball until it comes over the net, right? So the lower player is going to see a ball till it comes over the net. I see the ball when it touches your racket. So now I'm already, so you might see some players where it looks like for example, there was a guy from Sweden named Janove Wallner. He's the best ever. The only guy to destroy the Chinese, the best ever. And you would look at this guy and you would say, man, this guy's not moving at all. No, he's just always in position. He's always in the right place at the right time because he watches your body and he's already moved to the position because your body's already given away where you're going to hit it. So those 3 things are important. But the most important, keep the ball on the table. Just put it on the table. Put it on the table.
I love that. Dude, I want to back up, Wally. You mentioned some kind of heavy stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like with your stepdad. Where was your dad at?
Oh, so my mom and dad divorced probably, I don't know. I don't remember my mom and dad together. So it could be when I was, I don't know, maybe 1, I think. And then my mom married this narcissistic abuser. He came from the islands and he was illiterate.
Which islands?
He's from Barbados. Oh. And he was illiterate. So he couldn't read, he couldn't write. But the way that he got by was he learned a trade. He was a master carpenter. So he could build anything. Anything that had a hammer, nails, and he could build it. So that's how he got by. And they got married. And so that means, I was with them since I was really small. But my mom was smart. My mom had a college degree. She had a master's. She worked for the Department of Health, right? So by default, she was already at a higher level than he was, even though he had this trade, right? He he was illiterate, and he didn't like that. So he always tried to put us down.
I was gonna say, was he threatened by you? Is that why why all those mean comments when you were such a young boy?
I think because he noticed that my mom was really smart. I'm a product of my mom. So he noticed that my mom was really smart. And even as a kid, I was always very ambitious. I was always trying to do something. I always wanted to do something. Right. And I guess he didn't. I don't know. I don't know, man. I guess he didn't want us to get ahead. I mean, that's what he told me. He always told me, you're gonna wind up dead, you're gonna wind up in jail, you'll never be successful, you name it. I heard it as a kid,
That's
since a little
horrible, man.
kid.
Like, you were how old?
I want to say since 5,
Oh my gosh.
like since a little kid. He he was very intentional in what he was doing and what he was saying. Like I said, it wasn't your average abuser, right? Nothing. A lot of things never came out of anger. They came out very calm. Just like I said, I would come home from school. How was your day? Oh, it was okay. Oh, it doesn't matter because you're gonna be a failure anyway. So what he was doing was, and it wasn't until the pandemic I started like really unpacking this stuff and kind of like, oh man, that's what he was doing. Oh, yeah. So what he was doing, he was kind of like just trying to train us like how you would train a dog, right? And to keep us below him, right? So that we never ever, or we never get smart and say, hey, why are you with this guy? But yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. I mean, since I think at 7 years old, I started trying to figure out ways I can kill him. Like for real. Like I remember, like he used to take this medication, and I used to try to figure out how I can get boric acid. So in the projects, you always have your friendly roaches that are running around,
Yeah.
and we used to use boric acid. It's like a powder that you sprinkle along the sides of the wall, and the roaches walk in it, and it kind of like dissolves after time their legs and kills them. So I was trying to figure out how I could get boric acid into his capsules, right? So from 7 years old,
Yeah.
like I wanted to end this guy's life. So it was bad. It was really. I wouldn't wish that on anyone, not even my enemies, but it was bad.
Who else was in the house with you guys?
My mom.
You didn't have any
My
siblings?
mom. I have a stepbrother at the time, but
Was he there?
in the beginning, he wasn't born yet because he's younger than me.
Uh-huh.
Um, After he was born, he would be there, but it was a different treatment. It was,
Dude, so you were alone in this.
yeah, yeah. I mean, so if I did something, if I did something, I used to force my brother to say he did it, because if he say he did it, he wouldn't get in trouble. So I'd be like, yo, you got to say you did it. If I say I did it, I'd be in trouble. Yeah, so it was definitely he always spoke very highly. He always spoke very highly about my brother, and then always very down on me all the time. So it was crazy. And then the mom that's supposed to protect you didn't really protect me, right? Because they would argue or they would fight. He would beat her up, and then I would go, to hug her, right? Because she's busted up. And then after they go upstairs and do what they do, now I'd be punished, right? So she would allow that to happen. So I mean, it was crazy. It was definitely intense for a little kid to go through.
Do you think she actually loved him?
Shit, that's a good question. No one's never asked me that question. Um, I don't know, man. Shit, I don't even know, because so many. I mean, so many times we left,
You and her?
yeah, and each time we came back,
Where would you go?
like to her mom's house, and then each time we came back, he would like record his voice to some music saying how sorry he was, and then we'd wind up back. So I don't know, man. I have no idea. I don't even know, man. For me, for someone who was as smart as she was, and it wasn't my mother wasn't soft. Like my mother fought back. So it was just I just never understood it. Like I never got it. I never understood it. She always went back every single time. But after learning about narcissism, and after learning about women that are abused, and how the abuser kind of like brainwashes them and has them believing that maybe it's a possibility that it's their fault of what's going on, right? Because my mother had her flaws too. My mother was alcoholic. Like she drank a lot, but she was I think they call it a functional alcoholic. So she drank every day. She had a bourbon every day. And sometimes I would catch her. She'd be like, tipsy, but she was functional. She went to work every day. She cooked every day. She did everything that she was supposed to do every day, but she did drink every day as well. So I don't know, man. It was just weird, man. It was just a crazy, crazy thing.
Dude, that makes me just like to learn that about you. We just met each other, right? So we're getting to
Yeah.
learn about each other now. And it just makes me so proud of like who you are. Like I get to see this amazingly optimistic person and to know the shit that you went through and the depth of that as a kid, beyond inspiring, man. And so I just want to say thank you for
Appreciate
being who you are.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, 100%. What's their status now? Your mom and stepdad.
So my stepfather died years ago, and I heard about it from some family members because I cut everyone off. I cut my whole family off. I cut everyone, and my mom died. I think it was maybe like last year, or a year and a half ago.
Were you guys in touch?
No, so there was a situation which got really really crazy. So when I was 14, I got arrested for possession of a weapon in school, and I had some problems before that. Well, a lot of problems before that. But one thing I did have, which is real funny. This is crazy. I was probably the smartest gangster in the world, or at least I looked that way. As I mentioned before, sports were a huge thing for me. Sports was the balance between violence. So I needed the sports in my life. The only way you can stay on a team is to have good grades. So I delegated work to people. I had people doing work for me. So I was an entrepreneur since I was in high school. I had people doing work for me, like making sure my notes got taken, making sure that I knew what was going on because I needed to at least get that 65 so that I can stay on the teams. So I had good grades. Well,
How
not
were you
good grades,
incentivizing those people to do it?
protection. That's what you do.
You didn't have to pay them. It was just protect you.
Protection. Like meaning that if you do this for me, then me and my people, we got your back. So it was protection. It was
Why did they need protection?
Well, because if they didn't take the protection, we were the same people that were gonna
right. So take my notes or I'm gonna beat you up.
Yeah. So it wasn't even like it wasn't a question of whether it was like there was yes or no answer. No, it was always yes.
Rhetorical.
Yeah, and so I had to do that so I could stay on the teams because I had good grades. My mom used this in court, right? Because here I was this really bad kid, but had passing grades. And they said, listen, if we put him in jail, like they were talking 10 years, which was crazy. And they said, well, if we put him in jail, his whole life is gonna be finished. He's a smart kid. And maybe we need an intervention. So my mom came with the great idea to send me to Africa. So I went to Africa for 2 years. I went to boarding school where I spent like an insane amount of time fighting in Africa. And people are like, what do you mean fighting in Africa? And this is crazy. And I know people get mad when I say this, but I don't care because I experienced it. The most racism I ever felt in my life was there. Because when I went there, I spent all the time here trying to find myself. When I went there, they were like, nah, you're not the real black. They used to call me, they used to call me in Africa? They call me the kid who eats butter. In their language, they try to say I was soft. So I spent a lot of time fighting there just to get respect. And then I joined something called Man of War. And Man of War is like, it's like, I'm not even gonna say Boy Scouts. It's like Boy Scouts times 1,000. Like, it's really crazy. They have you do all kinds of crazy stuff like standing straight up, falling down. It's just weird stuff. And so I started to get respect once I joined that, right? And then as a kid, all your life, you want to protect your mom, right? Growing up as a little kid, every kid wants to protect their mom. Every kid, without even knowing it. If you ever get like a dad and a mom, have the mom say, help me, and see what the kid does. Have the dad say, help me, and you see it's a different thing. It's a different thing. So every kid, it's just wants to protect mom, and that's what I always wanted to do. And I went to Africa, spent 2 years there in boarding school, and when I came back, I was a different person. I wasn't the same kid that was going to be abused. And I was not the same kid that was going to let my stepfather abuse my mom, right? So in my mind, I thought, now, finally, I can step up and I can, after all these years, stop this guy from beating up my mom. And there was an incident where my stepfather went to grab my mom by the throat, and I turned around and I looked. And when I looked, um, he goes to me, "What are you looking at? If you look over here, you're gonna get the same thing." And then when I heard that, I just lost it. Like, I don't even remember leaving the house, but I did. I ran out the house. I went next door, and that's where my other gang members live. And I went and got a gun. I came back and I put the gun in my stepfather's head, and I was gonna kill my stepfather. And while I was pointing at him, I was shaking. So many things going through my head. And my mom picked up the phone. My mom called the police and she says, "Oh, you guys have to hurry. My son's trying to kill my husband." Not that my husband's beating the shit out of me and my son's protecting me. My son's trying to kill my husband. And, you know, everything at that point, everything's happening so fast. Everything is so fast.
You like black out in that
But
moment.
at that point, when she did that, like, it's almost, I can't explain it. It's almost like everything that's inside of you, like your soul, just left. Like it just left. Like I just felt like a shell. And I put the gun in my mom's face, and I was gonna shoot my mom, my stepfather. And you know, I've always been a smart kid. Even when I was doing my stuff, with the gangs and stuff, I've always been smart. I was never a stupid kid, right? Um,
Yeah.
but at that moment, I really wanted to end their lives. And the only reason that didn't happen was, I don't know, you can call it divine intervention, an angel, or whatever you want to call it. Um, how they say you have like the angel and the devil on one side. And the devil on one side was like, "Shoot that motherfucker. You should end their lives, end their lives." And this one was like, "No, if you do that, every single thing your stepfather said about you will happen today." And that's what I heard. And I hated my stepfather so much, to the point that not anything he said could never become true. And I hated him more. I hated him more, or should I say, the idea of anything he said coming true
Mm.
meant more to me than killing them. So I had to make sure that that could happen. And I walked away. I never went back home again. I stayed away from home for many years. I lived in the street for like a year.
What does that
Um,
mean?
I just hang out every day, going from house to house, just hanging, breaking night, you know, doing what we do, doing all kinds of dumb stuff. Um, I did that for a year in the street and just never contacted them. And then,
How are you feeling? So you the adrenaline calms down after you leave the house, right? So whether
oh
it's
no,
a
no, the adrenaline didn't calm down. Adrenaline was very high, like the adrenaline was high for days, because I knew what would happen. Like, I've been arrested a lot of times as a kid, so I knew what would happen. I knew that eventually the DTs would come looking for me. Eventually, I'd get arrested. I played out the
for
whole
pulling the
process.
gun?
Yeah, but things they had no proof, and I said it was fake. And they said where it was. I said I lost it, so they have no proof, so they can't do nothing. But adrenaline was high, like, for a while, and then even a while after that, I was going through a period in my mind where I wouldn't say I became crazy, but I became more violent, because I felt like I should have done it. Like I felt like, why I didn't do it. I should have done it. And I just kept hearing everything in my head. Oh, oh, you should have done that. Oh, you should have done that. The all my gang members, yo, man, yo, you should have just done it, bro. You should have just done it. And this stuff was just really just making me really crazy and stressing me out. But eventually I got over that.
That's heavy, man, for a 16-year-old to go through.
It's crazy. It's definitely it's definitely a lot.
When you joined the gang, what was the dynamic of that like? Like, how do you even find the gang that you want to join?
Oh, it's
What-
easy because I grew up in the projects, so there's
Where at?
the Marlboro projects between Cornell and Bensonhurst.
New
So
York, stand up.
yep. So you had to be in a gang for multiple reasons. One reason you had to be in a gang was because you wanted protection from others,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you didn't have protection from anyone, then you were susceptible to getting beat up by everyone, right? So you had to be a part of something, right? And then another reason too, there was a lot of racial tension, because where Marlboro Projects is, like I said, it's between Coney Island and Bensonhurst. And I
What's
went to
Bensonhurst?
yeah. So Bensonhurst is like where the Italian Guidos are, right? So our school, Lafayette, is actually technically in Bensonhurst, but also near the projects, right? So there was a lot of racial tension going on at the same time too. So you needed to have people that had your back, or that you thought had your back. But yeah,
So were your friends already in the gang
oh
that you
yeah,
wanted to join?
yeah, yeah. There were people, yeah, yeah. Even before I was in, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then is there like a formal initiation?
Yeah, yeah, there is initiation.
What'd that look
I'm not
like?
gonna tell you what it was, but yeah,
We got that one. That one's
yeah,
buried.
yeah, that one's buried. But there is an initiation. I can tell you what some initiations for others. Some are getting beat into a gang,
Did
where
you get beat up?
no, no, no. Yeah, well, I didn't.
But yeah,
I
as
had
an
a
example.
different
No, as an
initiation.
example, I meant.
But yeah, as an example, yeah, yeah. It can be like 50 people, 40 people, and they're gonna jump you in. That means
Man,
and listen,
that's not your homie.
listen. And the crazy thing is, people are trying to legit hurt you. It's not like they're saying, "Oh yeah, he's gonna be one of us." Let's hit him soft. No, they're trying to hurt you. So you better protect yourself. You're allowed to fight back if you want, but you. I think the best way. I mean, there's really no good way to do it. It depends. I mean, if you got skills, you can try to fight back, but it's too many people, man. So a lot of times, what people do is they kind of try to stand up a little while, then they curl up and they just protect all their body because you're gonna leave there in bad shape. But the next day everyone's your friend.
So do you think being in the gang at the period of time that you were in it was the right move for you? Now looking back,
Yeah, I think so because I don't know how I would have got through that craziness at home. Seriously, like you said, all the things I've accomplished, all these huge things I've accomplished in my life later, right? I don't think I would have made it to the point to even do that, right? You got to have an outlet, right? And for me, the outlet was sports and my gang, and that was my outlet. I think if you don't have an outlet, then you're just a bomb, and you never know. Like maybe if I didn't have that outlet, maybe I would have ended both their lives that day, and I wouldn't be here talking to you, right? So that was just a balance, and I definitely needed it. Even though a lot of it is fake. When you're in a gang, a lot of times it's people like you because of what you can do for them, right? Because they know you got your back, they know you're gonna pick up your gun, but it's not real, right?
is it
Sometimes
true you had 6 guns when you were 13?
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's on Wikipedia. I didn't know if
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
true or
yeah,
not.
yeah. So I didn't own all of them, but I didn't hold them. I
Wally,
I kept
you were
them.
rolling heavy, man.
Well, I was the youngest. I was the youngest person. I was the youngest one. So, and these days it's not even true because young kids are getting tried as adults. But when I was a kid, young kids got tried as juveniles.
So that's why they wanted you to
Yeah, so
have
if I
them.
if I'm holding the guns, I'm not gonna get the lengthy sentence that someone who's 18 or 19 or 20 are gonna get. It's gonna be different. I would get tried as a
Yeah.
juvenile. So I kept all the guns in my house. I look back at it and it's like, damn, bro. Like it's the
Dude.
fact that I'm alive that I was able to just like get out of that and it's crazy. Like I think about it every single day. It's in my mind. It's like, bro, how'd you even manage that? Because I think 99.9% of people in my shoes would probably, well, most of my friends are dead or in jail. So that's exactly where I was heading.
Can you think about the time where you ran closest to that life of or that line of death?
That was when I was gonna kill both my stepmom, I mean my stepfather and my mom.
Yeah.
It was right there. It was listen, it couldn't be any closer. Couldn't be any closer than that. Like I said, I was always smart. So even when I was doing stuff, I was always smart. I didn't get caught for a lot of the shit that I did. But that it was there. It was that point. Like right in that point, everything just flashed. And I said, man, you know, like imagine if I would have done it, right? Let's say we don't always listen to our inner self, right? a lot of people don't listen to their inner self, especially in that situation, right? Because the biggest betrayal that any kid could have was that, right? All my life, I thought about, I'm gonna protect my mom. I'm gonna protect my mom. And then finally, the day I can do it, finally, I can protect my mom. And then she just turn, turn on me. You know, that, I mean, I think 99.9% of the people would have ended both their lives. Like, there's no way that, and it's crazy, but I guess my hatred for my stepfather was just so powerful that I knew that if I did this, I couldn't live with myself, right? I think, like, if you want to play out a scenario of what could have and what would have, I think if I would have did it and I had to live with knowing that everything my stepfather said came true,
That like you would never amount to anything.
I probably either would have killed myself or became the most violent person in the world, which would have got me killed anyway.
Yes.
I'm almost 100% sure because I play these scenarios out all the time. What could have, what would have happened, and I'm sure that's what, because I would have to live with that. I would have to, now because I didn't do it and I became successful. Now I can
Mhm.
use those words as power. I use those same words as a means to always make me successful. But imagine if I did it and I'm in jail for life and I'm hearing the same words. You're useless. You'll be dead or in jail. I'm already here.
Have you ever been on the other end of gunfire?
A lot of times.
What's that like?
Multiple times. I mean, in the beginning, you don't really think nothing of it, right? Because it's adrenaline. It's a lot of adrenaline, a lot of adrenaline. So it's not like you're like people. I don't know. People watch a lot of movies, and
Your life is a movie, bro.
yeah, but
When is the movie coming out?
I don't know. Hopefully soon. But people watch a lot of movies, and they think like they think there's like a thought process. Like there's no thought process. It starts off like this. Yo, what happened? You got beef? Yo, get your shit. Let's go. Like there's no thought. It's not like thinking, well, if I do this, this is gonna happen. Or no one think. It's no thought. It's just everything's instant.
But that minute that gunfire is coming at you, have you ever been hit by it?
Yeah, I've been grazed twice. luckily, I've
Where?
So one on my calf and then one on my knee. Shins. I mean,
You're not thinking anything in that moment?
no, you're just thinking you want to get away.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to get away. And but it's like I said, like there's no thought. It's just
It just
quick.
yeah, it just takes you over.
Everything is just so fast. It's so listen, even when I got hit, especially the second time, I didn't even feel it. I didn't feel anything until I got home. My knee was open. And then my mom, I remember my
Adrenaline.
mom asked me, she goes, "What happened? Blood's coming everywhere." I said, "Oh, I fell on a jagged rock." That was the only thing that could make sense. Because we live near.
Like, why is there a bullet in your knee?
No, it's grazed, so it wasn't in the knee. Yeah, but my knee was open, and the only thing I could think of, there were like these rocks that were near our house because we live near the bay, and they were like jagged rocks. So if you fell on that, it would tear your, and that's what I said. Yeah.
So the military has honorable discharge, right? When you want to leave.
Yeah.
What does the gang have?
Oh shit. It depends. Like everyone, every gang is different, depending on where you are, who it is. Everyone's different. For me, I left. I just left. But when I left the country. So I was gone. I was gone.
Did you tell them that you were leaving?
No, I just gone. It was gone. Like gone. One day I was there, and for the next years I wasn't around.
What led to the decision of you wanting to leave?
I found ping pong, the sport that I actually hated the sport in high school. I used to make fun of all the kids playing it. And I met a guy who at the time, offered me to pay me some money to hit with him a couple of times. I was trying to play it. And what really got me into the sport was this is a funny story. I was shooting pool as a side thing, and I go into this pool hall, right? I thought I was good. I'd stolen this pool stick, right? And I mean, I didn't really steal it. What happened was I bought a shitty one, and then I kind of like exchanged it for a better one. And
I think that's
yeah,
stealing, Wally.
yeah, I don't know. I think it was switching
You're
it up.
safe here though, man.
Yeah. And so I go into the pool hall, and I'm trying to bet some money, because I was okay, wasn't great, and I got hustled. I got upset, took the pool stick, slammed it on the table. The pool stick shatters, and when it shattered, I was really angry. Now I shattered my stick that I just took, and I saw some kids playing ping pong, and so I was the kind of kid that anything that happened to me, I'm taking it out on you. I could literally walk into a wall by myself
Mhm.
with no one there. And if I felt pain, the next person next to me was gonna feel pain too. So I saw these kids playing the sport that I hated. So I said, so I put my pool stick down. I went over there to them immediately. I says, hey, I want to get a hit. And they said, you play this? I said, I don't play this. Just give me the paddle. So I took the paddle from them. And my goal was when he hit the ball to me, to smash him in the face with the ball and then say, oh, my bad. Right? So it looked like I didn't really mean to do it, but I really mean to do it. And when he hit the ball to me, I went and smashed it, but the angle of the paddle was like this instead of open, and it went on the table, right? And the kid goes, "Oh my god, that was a great shot! Wow, there's a ping pong club that you can go." What? I said, "There's no way there's a place where people play this." I said that you're crazy.
You like still in the
Uh,
projects?
no, no. At this time, this is when now I'm living in the streets, pretty much. Yeah, so this is after that whole incident, right? And I'm like, there's no way there's a place where people play this. And he said, no, no, you gotta go check out this club. It's really cool. Now, mind you, I tell you, I was an athlete. And so I said, you know what? Let me go check it out. Eventually, so I go down to this other pool hall that they had about like maybe nine ping pong tables, and people were playing in the back. And I was like, and I heard them go, making all this noise. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. And then when I went over there, got closer, the thing that shocked me was that it was all black people. And I was like, wait a minute, black people play this? And I was like, no way. Because for me, I thought only Asians play ping pong, right? And then so I go over there and I'm
We
watching
have
them
hope.
and I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. These guys are good. So immediately I wanted to play because I thought it was cool now, right? So I would try to play, nobody would play with me. This old guy would beat me up all the time. And then one day, this Israeli guy comes to me and he says, hey, you have a partner? I said, no. He says, oh, I'll pay you $20 if you can hit with me like twice a week as a steady partner because he had this import export business. He was in and out of town. And I was like, I'm not good, but any sport I can pick up immediately and I can just do the basics. So I can hit balls. That's all he wanted to do. All right. So we started, playing and we became friends. And, I would talk, we'd talk because I was going through a hard, because at the time I was living in the streets, I was going through a hard time. And I was always like, was never scared to talk about my shit. And I was always open. And, but for him, it was like TV, right? If you don't know anyone who's lived that life, or if you don't know anyone who's actually been in that life, it's hard to understand, right? How kids have guns. Like people till today who live in America, when they hear like a 14-year-old kid shots, like, oh my God, how did like it's nothing like that doesn't shock me. That's like, okay, yeah, that's what happens. And I think for him it was more like TV when I was talking. And then one day I went to the club and a 22 fell on my bag in front of him. And he
A
saw it.
gun.
Yeah, he saw it. And he looked at me, I looked at him, and I don't know, his face looked kind of weird. And I was like, yo, I gotta go. Cause I don't know what he's gonna do. Call police. So I left. And then in my mind, I was like, damn, there goes my $20. I was like, there goes my hustle. But the guy calls me back 2 days later and he says, hey, are we still playing? And I was like, oh, this guy wants to play more. All right, cool. So I go meet the guy and he says, hey, listen, I want to invite you to my home. And I thought that was weird. Like, why would you want to invite the kid that the gun just fell out of his bag? You want to invite him to your home? It's kind of weird. But I was like, all right, I'll go. This guy's paying me $20. This is where I'm getting my money to eat from. So I go with him to his home. His family lives there, and they have like a really good family where everyone's kind of like sitting at the table and passing food around. It's like the families you see on TV where they got the long table and like, oh, thank you very much. Oh, some mashed potatoes. Oh, thank you, some corn. Oh, can I get that? And I'm sitting there like pissed off. I'm like, why does this guy bring me here? Like, my situation. Like, why am I here? And it just made me angry. Made me angry because like we are you trying to throw your family life in my face? So I didn't know what was going on. So I wind up playing with them, whatever. And then he says, "Hey, I want to help you." And I said, "How are you gonna do that?" He goes, "I got a connection in Germany, and I'm gonna pay for you to go to Germany to learn ping pong." And that's how I first started to learn.
Oh my
So
god.
this dude, man, like I don't know what he saw in me, but yeah, he paid for me to go to Germany to learn. And, and when you look back at stuff, right? I always like to analyze stuff that's happened and say, well, why did this happen, or
Mm.
what if this would happen? And one of the things which I realized, and I realized later, was that he never ever mentioned the gun that fell out of my bag. It never came up. It never came up. And I don't know if he knew what my react, because if he did mention it, I would have just ghosted him. Like if he would have said something like, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing," nah, that's it. Even $20 or not, I would have cut that. I would have cut that relationship off. So I don't know if he knew that. I mean, I don't know why he never
He was
mentioned
smart.
it.
He was a leader.
Yeah,
He knew what he had to
he
do.
never asked me about it.
Do you know what he did for a profession?
Yeah, yeah, he did import and export business. He had this whole business, and the place that we went to actually,
Did he go with you? Oh, sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
the place that we went to is the house. So he had an apartment in New York City, but his house was near Hunter Mountain. It's like in the mountains. It's crazy. Um, and he would just travel in and out of town, and he trusted me a lot. I don't know why. It's just weird. It was really weird because normally when people are trying to do stuff for you or when they're trusting you, it means that they want something, that there's some ulterior motive. But with him, it was just like I don't know, man. It was weird. But yeah, he stood by his word, paid for me, went to Germany. I left, and that's how I left my gang. Like I just left, got up and left, and was in a different country
Dude.
with some other weird stuff. But yeah, different country.
Sometimes it just takes one person, man. Like I had a boss who I feel like believed in me more than I believed in myself. And because of that, like I did so much in my career at one job,
Very
It just
rare.
takes that one person.
No, seriously, it does.
Do you have a most memorable ping pong match?
Yeah, actually, the most memorable one. It's actually funny. I had the great idea that I wanted to do something big each year. So now I'm playing ping pong. I've made a video game with Rockstar Games. I've got sponsors. I'm traveling the world. I've created this really cool character in ping pong that everyone is like, yeah, that guy's cool. And each year I was trying to do big things. And one year I was doing a charity called Ping Pong for Poverty, and I was doing it in Virginia Beach. I was on the local TV station. We were talking about homelessness, whatever. And then the Steve Harvey show calls me, and they say, "Hey, we want you to come to Chicago tomorrow." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, Steve wants to interview you." I was like, "Whoa, that's really cool. I like Steve Harvey." So I go down and do the Steve Harvey show.
He's
Things are
always
good.
balling out doing the
Yeah, and
most.
he was funny, and that just gave me like so much like because Steve Harvey is a person that I grew up looking up to, and that gave me like just so much inspiration, motivation to say, okay, I got to start doing something big every year now. And then 2015 came along, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do this year? So and I had no idea, and I started just looking at all the tournaments I would play around the world, and I saw Pyongyang, North Korea, and I was like, oh my God, North Korea. I got to go to North Korea. There's no way. Dennis Rodman just came back from North Korea. And if you see my hair, I was
Wally
like,
Green to North
yes,
Korea.
I was like, there's no way that I'm not going to North Korea. Right. And I decided I want to do diplomacy for world peace, which sounds just crazy. But everything I do is crazy. Like all the things I've accomplished are crazy. Like they just don't make sense. And I said, I want to go to North Korea to do a diplomacy for world peace. And the reason I said that was because, I'll give you a little bit of American history. In 1971, America established relations with China through ping pong. It's called the ping pong diplomacy. So if you ever watch Forrest Gump, you see Forrest Gump playing against the Chinese, you know, that's not the exact story, but that's what it comes from. It comes from ping pong diplomacy. So I said, you know what? I said, I want to create my own history. That's big. So that's bigger than me. If I can make my own history, it's crazy. So I said, okay. I put it in my head, I went and do it. Dennis Rodman did. He came back I think I can get more accomplished than he did there. I want to go. And so I called up the team and says, hey, listen, uh, I need you guys to enter me into the Korean Open, not the North Korean Open, because we can't enter ourselves into pro tournaments. The association has to do it. And they said, we don't think it's a good idea. I said, I'm not asking. Just enter me and I will take care of everything myself. Just make the entry. So they made the entry. Then I started contacting people from around the world because by this time I knew everyone in all these different countries. Hey, let's go to North Korea and as a world team, right? And we can promote peace through ping pong. I thought it was the coolest idea in the world. Everyone else thought it was crazy. And people were like, "Nah, you're crazy. We're not going to North Korea. No, no, you're gonna die. They're gonna kill you there. They're gonna this, that. No, no." Every single person told me no. Every person, even people here, they said everyone. Not one person would say yes. And I was like, "You gotta be kidding me, right?" So I said, "Okay, you know what? If you guys don't want to go, I'm going by myself. I've, the crazy life I lived as a kid. I'm not afraid to go to North Korea. Like that's not scary to me. I lived way more scary stuff than that. And so I was like, all right. So no one wanted to go. So I decided to go by myself. The whole process of getting there was really crazy. Um, but I knew that, the first step to achieving anything in life is taking action. Like you have to get there. I had no plan. Like, how do you do a diplomacy for world peace? What is diplomacy for world peace? What are you gonna do? Who are you gonna talk to? I had zero idea, zero plan. Didn't even know what I was gonna do. Didn't even know how it was gonna happen. But like I said, first step is take that action. You can't do nothing if you're not there. Nothing's gonna happen if you're sitting at home. So I said I got to get there. So I got there, and the match that we're talking about um, is really funny. I played China first, and I got to play North Korea second. And all the other countries that were there were all countries that hate America, which was the craziest thing ever. Yeah, every country that was there were countries that either fought against America or hate America now. So like Vietnam, China, Syria, like all these just, just
And how often do they have an American playing in this tournament?
never, 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 never. It's and you know it's crazy that they even had that tournament. Like that's just crazy. Like when I saw it, I was shocked that they would let anyone in the world who plays a sport be able to come to their country. Like it was just, it was just weird. But I got to play against a North Korean. And of course that was set up, right? Because I could have played against a Chinese and a Syrian, a Chinese. Everything's set up. Everything's set up. And I got to play against this North Korean. And it's real crazy when we're coming out into the stadium. It's a big, huge stadium, 5,000 fans, all North Korean,
Hmm.
all North Koreans, 5,000 fans, and we're coming out, right? And it's the umpire, North Korean guy, umpire, and me, and we're all walking out, and you see all the eyes of people looking at me. Like it's the craziest. I don't think anyone's ever felt this before. It's crazy. Picture being in the hall and every single person in that hall is looking at you and not looking at you saying, "Oh yeah, the guy with the yellow hair is cool." No, looking at you like, "Oh, that's America."
That's what they think all Americans look like too, huh?
Crazy.
Like
Right after
Dennis
went,
Rodman and you.
yeah, and then now I come with the yellow hair and designs in it, and they're like, you know, but they're looking at you with hate because that's what they're taught. So everyone's looking at you with hate, like you're not cool, like you're. They're wondering what the hell you're doing there, and
You have thick skin, man.
and you can feel it like as you walk out because you can feel I don't know what the word is, but you can hear these sounds like these. If there's 5,000 people doing the same thing, you can hear it, and then you come out and you shake the referee's hands, the umpire's hands, and then we play. We start to play the match. So once the match start now, I'm like, screw this. I'm about to beat this dude, man. Let's play. So now I'm getting pumped up and I'm playing. I go 5-0 and I'm like kicking his ass, And every time I made a point, like like multiple viral videos on this. It's crazy. I made a point. There was not one clap or sound for me. I've never been in a country in the world where I made a point and not one person clapped.
That's
It
so
was
eerie.
crazy quiet.
That's what happens when you go to North Korea and play ping pong.
Oh my, he made a point. It was like the finals of the Olympics. The finals of the Olympics. It was so loud. Every time I made a point, it was so loud. And it wasn't even like they were clapping for him. They were clapping against me. It's different. It's different when you clap for someone than when you blatantly clapping against someone. I've never experienced this. Like I played in China against Chinese, and even the Chinese clap for me, right? When I make a point. But this was different. And it started to irritate me because I knew that I knew the background of it, and I knew that they weren't just clapping for him; they were clapping against me, and I started to get a little bit upset and angry, and I couldn't concentrate anymore because it was loud. It was just so loud, and I'm going through my head, and I really want to just like curse everybody out, but you don't do that in North Korea.
You
So
had to behave.
yeah, you gotta behave. You definitely gotta behave. So I look up, and I look at everybody, and I just smile. I just smiled. I don't even know why I smiled. I just smiled. And when I smiled, I started to hear like a few like chuckles, like, okay, that sounds different. That sounds very different. And I thought, that's interesting. So we start playing again. I look up again and I just smile. And then more people start chuckling. And I'm like, oh, this is where it's gonna happen. I said diplomacy for world peace is gonna happen right here, right? This is the start of it. Cause now I'm able to capture these people's attention, right? And it doesn't seem as negative as it did when I first entered into the stadium. So I just keep looking up and smiling, and then they would smile and they would laugh. I was like, oh, this is really cool. So at the end of the match, of course the guy beats me, right? And you have to shake hands after, right? And it's sport etiquette. If you lose, you win, you shake hands, that's it. Um, when I walked towards my opponent, you can tell he didn't want to shake my hand, right? So I always talk about this. When people want to shake, there's a body etiquette that people use when they want to shake your hands. So like, if I like you and we're cool and I want to shake your hand, my hand comes with my body, right? The body and the hand is one, and it's one smooth flow to the handshake. If I don't like you, my body stays behind and my hand goes forward. So when people do that, when they put their body back, that means they're not really into this handshake, but they have to do it. And he tried that with me. He put his hand out, kept his body back. I grabbed his arm, pulled him in, and gave him a bear hug, bro. And the funny thing about it is, like my camera is filming, so my camera's facing my back, his front. And it wasn't until later that I saw this, but he smiled, which is crazy, right? Because you know, for him to smile, you can't fake that. Like that's not fake. That's 100% human emotion, right? So it was so powerful to just see that. Like no matter how brainwashed he's been or how evil they said that we are, that hug that we shared still gave him a smile. The 5,000 people that in the beginning were just really against me, when I hugged them, people clapped, right? People clapped, people smiled.
Man.
People like it was, I can't explain it. Like it was just so powerful that this black kid who grew up in the projects with gangs and guns, has been put down all his life, can go to a country where not even 10% of the entire world has been to and make a difference from a smile and a hug. A lot of people say this, they'll go, oh, one person can't make a difference. One person can't do this. They can't do that. And I say to them, I said, listen, you know, you're going about it the wrong way. Your mindset is wrong. It's not our job to make a difference. It's not our job to change people. That's wrong. Whoever told you that has flawed you in your thinking. It's not our job. What our job is to plant the seed for change. We can't change anyone who does not want to be changed. We can't control that. But what we can control is how we plant the seeds, which can potentially cause change. So, after that, man, I was like, bro, you can do anything in the world. Like you can do anything in the world you want. Anything is possible. And that's how I live my life. Like a lot of the things that I do especially for the first time, like I listen, we're talking about a kid who was not peaceful. I wasn't a peaceful kid. I was an angry, violent kid. and I'm making peace in North Korea.
By
So,
being yourself too.
yes, yes, exactly, being myself, and it's just crazy, the way life just does this spiraling and about face, and but those are the kind of situations which allow me to do the craziest things that don't make sense. Like, another example is that I'm not a writer, right? I hate writing. Right? I wrote one thing in my life ever because people told me to do it. And I got 4 pages in the New York Daily News. 4 pages. People who write for a living, this is what they do every day. They get like a little thing, right? I got an interview. I'm one of very few athletes in the world that have 2 full pages in the New York Times. Full pages, 2 of them. Like it's just crazy. It's just dumb.
It's because you're an incredible
Doesn't
human
make
being,
sense, bro.
man. Like what you've overcome and how you're such an optimist is beyond inspiring, man.
Yeah, but it's
You got to
crazy.
see that.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. It's crazy good. Dr.
Crazy,
Lauren
yes.
Michael Harris,
Yes.
our mutual friend, said you never say it's crazy. You put a powerful word behind it.
I like
it's crazy
that.
good.
Crazy good. Yes.
It's crazy
It is.
magical.
Crazy magical. Yes, I agree.
And our mutual friend, when he introduced himself, or when he mentioned you, Wally Green, he said, "Yeah, my friend has this ping pong club."
Yeah.
And I was like, "What's it called?" He's like, "Spin." I'm like, "Spin?" My friends and I used to play at Spin in Chicago. I'm like, "Is it the same one?" He's like, "Yeah, the one in New York."
Yeah.
So you got involved with that.
Yeah. That club is we created that business. So Chicago's ours.
You're
Seattle.
co-founder of Chicago as well.
All of them. The only one that is a franchise is Toronto.
Dude, congratulations.
Yeah. So we took passion for ping pong and made it a business. which is cool. I always say people should as a job you should do what you love. So, I'm a ping pong pro. I live it, love it. It's just always part of me. Yeah.
You've got some partners in it?
Yeah.
Who are your partners?
So the other guys were filmmakers, actually. The way I met them is actually really funny, though. I was at a tournament and there were these 3 guys, and they weren't good at ping pong. They just liked it, I guess. But they were trying to play tournaments. And one of the coach of a kid I was playing was pissing me off. And I said something funny. I said, "Hey, if you don't shut the fuck up, I'm gonna punch you in the face for 10 minutes." And they thought it was
casual.
And so the 3 of them heard it and they thought it was really funny. And they came up to me, like, "Oh my God, you're hilarious." They go, "We have this loft apartment with 1 ping pong table in it." And they were like, "Would you come and play with us?" I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So I'll go to these guys' apartment and play with them. And I wind up staying there all the time. And then we created these parties, like ping pong parties, where we'd say, "Hey, come over, hang out, bring friends, bring your friends, BYOB, bring your own beer, and hang out." And we would just hang out, listen to music, and play ping pong. We had 1 table. Then eventually, the parties got bigger, where we started getting sponsors. Like Puma gave us some tables. So now, eventually, we had 3 or 4 tables, and then we started getting sponsors, right? So we made this website. It was called Naked Ping Pong, and naked was the state of mind about living free, enjoying life. So now we got the Naked Ping Pong website going up, getting a lot of hits. Sponsors, Red Bull was like, "Hey, we can't give you guys any money, but we'll give you a fridge, a Red Bull fridge to put in your apartment with Red Bull in it." Okay, we'll take it. Vodka companies, "We can't give you any money, but we'll give you vodka." Okay. Beer company, "Okay, we'll take it." Right? No one was giving us money, but it was giving us product. So we were like, "Okay, how can we make money from this?" We got beer, we got vodka, we got Red Bull, we got space. All right, you know what? Let's make a tournament. Let's charge people, because you can't sell alcohol in an apartment, but you can give it away for free. So let's make a tournament. Let's charge people $20 to get in for the tournament. You win a prize after, but unlimited drinks all night long. Free vodka Red Bulls all night long and beer, right? Who wasn't coming to that? It was in the city. Everyone's coming to that. Everyone's pre-gaming there, right? Because where can you go in the city for $20? People would come and not even play the tournament. They just pay for the tournament, but they just came to drink. And we did this for a while, and our parties got so big to where major corporations would ask us to bring our party there. So one year we hosted the actual Super Bowl party when it was in Arizona with 50 Cent and Vitamin Energy, when 50 had money in Vitamin Energy. So we had Microsoft. Microsoft would have a huge party. I did Sydney and in Melbourne, right? Hey, bring your naked ping pong party down to us. We want to have this. So the name got really big. And then 1 year, we met Susan Sarandon. So that's how she's a partner. She needed some video edited for her. At the time was her boyfriend was Tim Robbins. And one of my
You say
partners,
Tim Robbins?
Tim Robbins,
Who's that?
was her boyfriend, Susan's boyfriend,
Okay.
right? Because she never married. And
But is he somebody I should know?
Susan Sarandon.
No, I know who she is,
Oh,
but
Tim
Tim,
Robbins.
yeah.
Yeah. He's a big director.
Okay, he's a
Huge,
director.
huge,
Okay,
huge,
all right.
yeah. And so one of my partners is his friend is Susan's assistant, and we were having our naked ping pong party, and she needed a video edited for Tim Robbins for his birthday, and so she was like, "Yeah, but you know this guy's in the loft," because my friends were filmmakers. They were documentary filmmakers. One of the guys' dad is actually very famous in the car industry, right? And I don't know if you ever heard of a car called the Bricklin.
Mm-hmm.
The Bricklin. So Malcolm Bricklin is Jonathan Bricklin's dad, right? And Jonathan is also the partner. So they're big documentary filmmakers. So it would be very easy for them to edit this video. And then Susan came to the apartment. I remember the first time I'm sitting there and I look and I see her sitting down talking to Jonathan. And I was like, she looks familiar. And I wasn't sure who it was. I was like, she looks very familiar. And it was Susan Sarandon in the apartment hanging. And so, eventually all good things come to an end. And then we put a business plan together and I gave it to Susan. And Susan helped us get the first club that we have.
Which one was the first?
23rd Street.
Okay.
It's been now, I think now 16 years maybe.
Wow.
It's been a long time.
No, 16 years, man?
At least.
You're aging well, bro.
Yeah, of course. Come on.
Dude, you were talking about North Korea, which made me think of Young Me Park, right?
Yes.
She was on Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
I love having you on Permission to Shine. It is an honor, man. We got to get you on Joe Rogan someday.
Listen, I need to be on Joe Rogan. Listen, the reason why I want to be on Joe Rogan, right? People hear me saying, they go, "Oh, you're just clout chasing." I don't need a clout chase. I am my own clout. But we share something, which is the love of MMA. And I follow the UFC as much as he follows the UFC. And it'll be so cool to just like talk about my life and also talk about UFC and talk about fighters, the ones who are coming up. Like, I don't get to have that conversation a lot about MMA. It's very hard. Although, man, which is crazy, the person I talk to a lot now, well, not so much, but I spoke to him the other day, on text, is Max Payne Griffin. He's if you don't know who he is,
Back in the day.
Actually, he's fighting. He's fighting.
Is he still?
He's fighting this weekend.
Wow.
And if you don't know who he is, he's the guy that elbowed some guy's ear off, like literally elbowed the dude's ear. So he's called the ear collector. This dude elbowed someone's ear. It's like literally hanging off.
The ear collector?
The ear collector. That's
Yo, keep me out of his way.
Collector.
I do not want to be in the room with that guy.
Max Payne Griffith.
I'll let you keep that friendship to yourself.
Yeah. He's cool though. So we
I'm sure he's really nice, actually.
Yeah, I met him one day. He came into my clubhouse room. I was doing an MMA thing, and he came in. I was like, you can see the name. I was like, no way, that's the real guy, and it was him. And so now I've been reaching out to him, and he responds and stuff like that. So I'm thinking maybe we want to collaborate on like an MMA show, stuff like that. Like, that would be really cool.
You would be. Dude, and you need the platform to go for 3 hours. We can only go like an hour here on Permission to Shine.
Yeah.
We need 3 hours, man.
Oh, for sure, bro. For sure. 3 hours is definitely
necessary.
It's like, if you want the full story, because I've been on a couple of 3-hour ones, it's the only way. It's the only way, 3 hours.
Well, man, I'm so damn grateful for you and coming on and sharing your story and being vulnerable about it. Like I said, to paint the full picture, right? Because you're doing all these successful things now. People get to see successful Wally. Yeah. It's just interesting to see like how much you had over. Like, I had such a further head start. You know what I mean? I feel like being born into the world that I was born into, white male and all that. Like, you didn't have a head start, man.
I think I had like a negative minus.
Negative minus a million.
But it's like I said, it's crazy. Like, I just think about it, and the things I've done, like, they don't make sense. They just don't. It doesn't make it's just and it's cool that I think like that, because it makes me always want to do more. The fact that when I look back and I said, that is insane. Like, how'd you even do that? It makes me always want to do more. It makes me always want to inspire other people, motivate other people, And that's what I do now. Like I just want to inspire everybody. I just want to motivate everybody and say, hey, look, you know what? That's where I was, man. This is where I'm at now. You know, it's really that easy. People are like, it's not that. Yeah, it is. It is. You gotta make the right decisions. You know, the right decisions sometimes are gonna hurt, and it's gonna be a shit show for a while. But you gotta focus, make that right decision, and you know, everything's fair, everything's game.
You know what it is? It's crazy wonderful.
Crazy wonderful. Yeah, I like that.
Wally Green, thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Pleasure to have you, man.
Thank you.